Hello my fellow creators and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am participating in a collaboration with Desiree of Include a Thank You and Then Some. We have decided to use pattern paper to make our cards or our projects. And I decided to use this Echo Park pattern paper called Back to School, since here in San Diego, our kiddos are in fact already back to school for the new 21-22 school year. So I pulled out this paper pad, some coordinating cardstocks I had in my stash. They're all recollections from Michael's. And I decided to pull out my binder of card sketches. So every time I find a nice number of card sketches, I bring it in. I also keep my sheet load sketches in here. I think I may need a new binder soon. But I'm going to go ahead and pull out this group of sketches by Operation Right Home. And I will use a few of these to make my cards. So let's get started. As you can see here, I'm pulling out several different sheets from this paper pad. Now I won't be finishing this full paper pad this time around, but I am going to be making quite a few cards. For the first card, I am using Operation Right Home sketch number 29. And so I'm going ahead and cutting down my pattern papers and bringing in some of the colored cardstock that I thought would look best with that. And as you can see, I'm very indecisive, but I finally decided to go with the black. I then decided to bring in a little bit of that yellow cardstock that I'm going to use for my sentiment. And for the sentiment on this first card, I'm going ahead and pulling in the Thank You Teacher Stamp Set by Simon Says Stamp. And I will be using the sentiment that says, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." And this is a quote by Nelson Mandela, and I totally believe that. Working in education over the last 25 plus years, I have seen how powerful a teacher's words, or any staff member for that matter at a school site, how important their words can be. I started my career as a school secretary, and it just makes my heart grow each time one of the former students, I run into one of them and they tell me, "Thank you for all your kindness, and look what I've accomplished in my life." And it just makes me so proud to know that the few interactions I may have had with students, some of which may have been my frequent flyers in the school office, turned out to be positive for those kids, and now they're making a difference in society. So education is a powerful weapon. I'm going on to make my second card using the same sketch, just different pattern papers. And here I am trying to figure out what color cardstock to use for the sentiment. And I went ahead and settled on some white cardstock, but I will layer that with, was it the red or the yellow? With the red cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and cut out some of the cut aparts that were on one of the sheets of pattern paper, and that way I can use a couple of them as the sentiments or focal points on the next card or two. And for this card, I am using Operation Right Home sketch number 26. As you can tell by the constant going back and forth and trying to pick the right pattern paper, I craft on the fly a lot. I don't plan out a lot of my cards typically, other than sometimes using sketches, which I'm doing on this. But I'm also quite the messy crafter. I just start with a clean desk, but end up with paper and glue and scraps and everything all around me. I do, however, clean up at the end of every craft session. That way, when I come back into my craft room and start a new project, I feel like I can start fresh with a clean slate and a clean desk. And for my fourth card, I am still using sketch number 26 by Operation Right Home. I'm just putting this together using, again, some of the pattern paper and one of the cut aparts from this paper pad. Now for the next couple of cards, I am going to be using Operation Right Home sketch number 31. I like using sketches sometimes because they give me a jumping off point, and I have so much pattern paper that I need to use. One of my goals this year was to use up at least a few of the many paper pads I have. At last count, I have 88 6x6 paper pads, somewhere around 36 12x12, and I think it was 9 card kits. They were Echo Park card kits that have the 12x12 paper and stickers. So I know from January till now, I've used up at least 6 of the 6x6 paper pads and 2 of my Echo Park card kits. So that's some progress, but it will take me quite some time to get through all my pattern paper, and I want to get through a good chunk of it before I allow myself to buy more. So these sketches do help to have me go through big stacks of pattern paper and make some adorable cards. Now here I'm using the Thank You Teacher stamp set again, and this sentiment says, "They may forget what you said, but they will not forget how you made them feel." And as I explained earlier, this is more true than we even know when we're talking to our students, because what we say affects them in more ways than we will ever realize, and sometimes you'll never know how it affected them. But on the rare occasion that you run into one of the former students and they tell you, "Thank you for caring about me, thank you for being one of the few people to encourage me," it makes you realize that this is why we do what we do. Whether it's working directly with students in the classroom or indirectly, the custodians, the office staff, the cafeteria staff, everyone touches the life of a child in a school. And so we all have a role to play in their futures. Now I've decided to go away from the sketches, and sometimes I do that and just start pulling in pattern paper and the scraps that I have from what I've cut apart so far and just put something together. So as you can see here, I've just pulled in a couple of those small pieces that were left over from other cards I made today and put those together to make a real quick card using up one sheet of the 6x6, one cut apart, and some of the scraps. So I think that's what I do for the rest of the video. Yeah, I'm just pulling in my pattern papers and throwing them together to try and make them work. Now for this card, I just cut apart one of the strips of paper that has school type sentiments on it, and you know, recess, fun, desk, student, bus. But I was struggling with what to put there as an additional image or focal point. So I went ahead and pulled in the Best Teacher stamp set. And I used the books, colored them in, and then just attached those to the card. And for some reason at this point, I didn't realize I had zoomed way in, so I'm off camera quite a bit. But eventually I'll realize and zoom back out. So I'm continuing on to another card, using again some of the strips I had left over from previous cards, pulling in the cut apart strips and trying to make one of these work on here. Now once I settled in on what I liked, I went ahead and put the pattern paper together and then pulled in a sentiment from the School Bus Messages stamp set by Simon Says Stamp, and the sentiment simply says first day. Now for this next card, I used the pattern paper that looks like writing paper, and I pulled in the All Right stamp set and colored in the apple and flower image off camera, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to this card as the focal point. And then the sentiment I'm using is again from the School Bus Messages stamp set, and it says have fun on your first day. I think this card was my favorite of all of them. Now I'm pulling in all the little bits and scraps of paper I have from the pieces I originally used, and just kind of putting them together to make a few more cards with what I have. I try not to leave any scraps, any usable scraps in a card making session of this nature, because I'm trying to keep my stash to a minimum as much as I can, and that includes not stashing and hoarding itty bitty bits of paper. Don't forget to follow along on our collaboration. I will have a link to Desiree's video and to her channel in the description box below. Again, this was a collaboration using pattern paper, and I believe it's going to be part of Desiree's Simplicity series. So make sure you follow along. Her cards are just amazing. Alrighty, I finished up this session of card making using Echo Park's Back to School paper pad. And I ended up making, I believe, 15 cards. So I'll use these to hand out. As I mentioned, I work for a school district, and so I can give these to my grandkids or to some of the staff at the school district. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I'd be thrilled if you subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on any of my social media platforms. As always, Have a beautiful, safe, and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye.